You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Minutes on Growth. This week, we have the lovely Jasmine Navarro, co-active transitional life coach here with us. And we're going to be diving deep into some really interesting stuff. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And yes, I'm just excited.
So we're excited to have you. So let's dive right in. Tell us about grit, because you mentioned coaching with grit. So what does grit mean, and what is coaching with grit?
I guess grit for me is having that inner strength and courage and resilience. And I think it's something that is developed throughout your life. And I think with me, I didn't even know I had grit until looking back on my life and the things that I've done. Then I suddenly realized, hang on a minute, I think I had grit to do those things that I did, as a teenager. Yeah, so having grit for me, is inner strength, courage and resilience. And it can be worked on. So life coaching with grit, what I tend to do with my clients is, we work together and I help them find their courage and develop their resilience and their inner strength, because we all have it. I really believe we all have it, but we just need to develop it.
That's wonderful. So how did you figure out that you had it? Like, when did that light bulb just pop?
That's a good question. I think I've always been brave, like when I was 18, I went to Venezuela, and I think that was quite a brave thing to do, going into the unknown, really. And I've traveled a lot on my own. And I guess it depends how you look at it, because I always looked at it like, what's more scary, to stay in the same situation as I am now, or to take the step into the unknown? And back then, it was quite an easy decision for me, because where I was so unhappy that it was just easy to just take the leap and go with it. But all around me, people were saying, wow, you're so brave. I can't believe you're doing this by yourself. But I guess at the time, I thought it was normal, and I thought, no, staying here is scarier for me, because what would I do with my life then? So, but now, I guess moving to Dubai and settling after living in so many countries, settling and just stopping to breathe and look back on my life. And then I started realizing, wow, I was really brave, actually. Or I am brave. So I guess, having time to just stop and reflect.
Oh, I love that. Was there anyone in your life that kind of helped you develop that grit and develop that courage as a young adult, like as a teenager?
I think it was always my mum who was behind me. And she would always say things like, I guess she did put a little bit of pressure on me looking back as well. But she always asked me questions like the one I just mentioned. But, Jasmine, what happens if you stay here? What's more scary, staying where you are now or trying something new? And, when you look back on your life, you don't want to have regrets of not trying anything. So she really instilled it into me that, just try something. And if it doesn't work out, at least you tried, And so I've always had that in my mind. Just try, that's the only way you'll know, by trying. And there's nothing to lose, and you always learn something, you gain experience. So I always had that in my mind. So I guess, my mum helped in that way. But it was scary at the time, sometimes,
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, fear is can play such a big part in our life, right? It kind of determines where our path takes us. A lot of the times, we don't do what we want to do because of that fear. And I was actually watching a seminar today by one of my Kabbalist teachers, and he was saying fear is it's another face of the ego, right? It completely stops you. It puts you in a frozen state. But are you going to give in to that fear, or are you going to say, no, I'm going to walk through it, and there's always something to learn when you walk through your fears, right? So you're no longer enslaved. You're free. It's true freedom. So I like that, but it's also so much easier said than done. Like, how do you teach someone to have courage? I mean, I think everyone has courage within them to some degree, to some extent, but how do you cultivate that as a coach? It's kind of hard, no?
I guess, yeah, like you said, we all have courage in us, I believe. And I guess it comes from confidence and self-belief as well, believing that you can. So I do work with my clients on that as well, self-confidence, self-belief, and celebrate and working on, how do you see a mistake? What's your perspective on making a mistake? And if we can come to a point where like we can celebrate our mistakes and we can learn something, that helps the client as well realize that, it's not going to be the end of the world if it all doesn't go to plan. So I guess how you see your perspective as well. So we work on different perspectives. And there's so many things that we work on. But I think
but those are two major ones, right? Confidence is so huge, and all these beliefs that we have, these limiting beliefs and this pressure that we put on ourselves, you have to get it right, right? Like someone else got it right, so you have to get it right, but we don't actually share our failures with other people. So a lot of the times people don't even see that. So it's false advertisement. And it's good to celebrate your mistakes because it just means that you're on the right path, right? You're at least trying. It's better to try than not to try at all. So I like that. I love how confidence comes into play. So tell us a little bit about why you narrowed it down to being a transitional life coach. Why transition?
I think because in my life, there's been a lot of transition. Like I've lived and worked in a minimum of 11 countries. And even saying that, and I had to transition. I mean, of course, there was, each country had its own set of challenges and tasks I had to do, and, new cultures, new friends, new job, new everything. And it was always a huge transition. So I know I have a lot of experience in that. That's why, I guess, because I have experience in it. And,
I love that. You're using your own experience to share. I love that. I love sharing your own story to kind of motivate someone else, to change someone else's life. So that's great. I love how it relates to yourself. So tell us, if someone is going through a transitional period in their life, what would be the number one advice you would give to them?
Definitely the first thing would be kind to yourself. I think it's all about being kind to yourself. That's what's really helped me as a coach. Yeah, being kind to yourself and be flexible with what's going to happen. Like, it doesn't have to be, you plan something, but it doesn't have to go that way. And if it doesn't go that way, it doesn't mean it's going to be bad. Be open to different possibilities and different things happening to you. I don't know, in my experience, life doesn't normally go the way you plan or the way you think. So be open to that and enjoy it, But yeah, the most important thing is being kind to yourself and do one thing at a time, baby steps, one step at a time. And, surround yourself with people that you can be your true self with. Oh yeah, and stay true to yourself as well. I mean, even that can be difficult sometimes. But, give yourself space, time. And it is easier said than done because we can be hard on ourselves. But we have to keep coming back and remembering, we're only human and we're trying, we're all trying.
I love that. There were so many good points in that. Being flexible, being kind, being open, staying true to ourselves, surrounding ourselves with, people who allow us to be ourselves. So much insight. It sounds so simple, but we kind of forget about it, right? And it's usually these simple lessons in life that we forget quite easily. So you said that life doesn't really turn out how you expect it to. And I talk about this a lot as well. Like, we plan and God kind of laughs and takes us not where we want to go, but where we're meant to go. what we need. And a lot of times we don't know what we need. We have a set of beliefs that we think this is the way it should be based on what our community has told us, based on what our family has told us, what we saw on TV growing up. So we have this idea of what we want our life to be, but maybe our purpose just doesn't align with that. So I'm just going to ask you a personal question. Did you think you would be where you are today when you were, let's say, 7 years old?
Wow. 7 years old. Definitely not. I don't, when I was 7, this might sound absolutely crazy, but I remember when I was 7 or 8, I wanted to be Madonna. So, yeah. And I think I know why I wanted to be her, because she's so strong. For me, she's such a strong, independent woman, and always reinventing herself and creative. So I still admire her now in that respect. But yes, I know I had no idea other than that to be Madonna, which sounds absolutely crazy. But or maybe when I was 5, I thought that probably. Maybe not 7. I think when you're 7, you're a bit more aware, aren't you? But I think you're right. We never know what's going to happen, do we? But it all turns out.
But you just said something so interesting. You said, I admired her for being so strong and so independent and creative and constantly changing herself. Do you think those core values that you admired in her, do you see them in yourself right now with all, changing yourself and being creative and transitioning and being strong and being independent? I mean, you have to be strong and independent to live in so many countries. So don't you think those core values that you saw in her are actually in you? I thought you were describing yourself when you said that.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. Maybe a tiny bit, not as much as her though, because she's had to do it in front of the whole world. And it seemed like it was really difficult for her, But yeah, I do admire those qualities. And maybe I do have some of those in myself. Yeah. On a different level, I guess.
Love that. Okay. So to wrap up, just what would you like to leave the listeners with? Like what one piece of advice would you give to someone who is trying to find courage, who is, wanting to take that next step, wanting to transition to something different, something more. They want to become more, but there is that fear and that resistance. So what one piece of advice would you give them?
I mean, this probably sounds extremely simple. I guess there's 2 things I would say. Number 1 is journal your feelings, like write down your feelings. I mean, I do that every day if I can, if I remember. But yeah, write down your feelings so you can really connect with yourself, and don't be afraid of your feelings, really feel them. I know that might sound really strange for some people who are not used to that, but I think it really does work. But so you can connect with yourself. So then you can listen to yourself. So yeah, write down your feelings. And like a small thing that I have in my bathroom is just, I am enough. So I see that every day. So then you can start believing in yourself as well, that you are enough. So I just think accepting yourself and listening to yourself. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Things. Positive affirmations, they do wonders, right? And Marissa Peer therapy, she talks a lot about I am enough.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I love it. I have it on my bathroom
mirror.
Yeah, I am enough. I am loved. And wow. It does wonders, right? Because it does. It's your self-dialogue. You're constantly talking to yourself. You might as well be talking really kindly to yourself instead of criticizing yourself all the time. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for sharing all those useful, practical tools that we can incorporate. And you've made it sound so simple. And I think that's just the best way to teach, right? To make everything sound simple. So thank you so much for being on the podcast. And I hope to have more of your insights on the Minutes on Growth platform.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great to talk to you. And thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. Stay tuned for next week's episode. Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.